Selection tool. The tool panel in InDesign contains different types of tools, with each tool represented by a descriptive icon. Here in this tutorial, let's study about the tools and their functions one by one. Now, the very first tool in our tool panel is the Selection tool. Its keyboard shortcut is the letter V. Selection tool is used to select items in the document, move them, scale them, and finally help in changing the item settings using the control panel. Selection tool is otherwise called the black arrow tool. Let's see now how to use this tool. Once we've created objects in our document, we can use different techniques to select them. They are through clicking, marquee selection, and through the select command. Here in this document page, you could see a rounded rectangular object and a circular object already placed. When we want to select the rounded rectangular object, let's click our selection tool on the object. Now you can see the object selected with a bounding box. A bounding box is a rectangular or square box with 8 boundary nodes that represent objects' vertical and horizontal dimensions. When we wish to move an object from one place to another, we can simply click and drag them to our desired location, such as this. Likewise, the size of an object can be adjusted by clicking and dragging any one of the boundary nodes, as you see now. Here's a tip for you. To adjust any object or frame size proportionately, hold down the Shift key as you drag a boundary node of an item. Objects in InDesign can also be selected using the marquee selection. Now let's click and drag a marquee around the objects that we wish to select. You can see the circular and rounded rectangular objects selected from our document. Holding the Shift key and dragging around another area will help in adding the item in that area to our previous selection list. To deselect an item from our selection list, we can either click the Selection tool on an object by holding the Shift key, or we can click anywhere else in the document. This will help in deselecting the items from our document. Please note that items can even be selected and deselected using the Edit menu's Select All and Deselect All commands. Let's end up this lesson with another tip for you. Double-clicking the Selection tool on an object or image path will change the cursor to Direct Selection tool, which we'll be discussing in our next lesson. Direct Selection tool. In this tutorial, let's see how to modify the paths of an object, frame, and image using the Direct Selection tool. InDesign's Direct Selection tool is designed to work much like the one found in Illustrator, but with a few twists. Direct Selection tool is basically an editing tool. This helps in selecting and moving the Bezier points and Bezier handle of a drawn object or frames, and even changes the shape of a frame by moving any of its corner nodes. This tool is otherwise called a white arrow tool. Now here in this document, we're going to see a gradient-filled object already placed. Let's select the Direct Selection tool by pressing its shortcut key, A. We can now position the tool over the Bezier points that we want to move. Now let's drag the point to a new position. And as we do so, you'll notice a change in the object's shape. Similarly, we can even change the shape of an object or frame paths. To change the path of the objects, let's click the cursor on any one of the object path and drag them. You'll notice only the selected path of that object moving. The shape of an object can even be adjusted using these Bezier handles, as you see now. If you want to select Bezier points from an object, for example, let's take only the sharp edges of this object. And then holding the Shift key, let's drag a marquee on the sharp edges. Now you'll see only the anchor points of the sharp edges selected. Here the selected points appear solid, and the unselected points will appear hollow. Using this tool, we can also delete a portion or an anchor point from an object or frame. Let's click the tool on an anchor point and hit the Delete key from the keyboard. We can now observe the anchor point of that object deleted. Please note, double-click the Direct Selection tool on an item, and we'll convert that tool into a selection tool. Alright, I hope that through this movie, you'll have a better idea of how to use and work with this Direct Selection tool. Try working with this tool. Position tool. The tool which we are going to discuss now is the position tool. This tool changes its pointer into a crop tool, selection tool, direct selection tool, type tool, or hand tool, according to the place we use it in a document. Position tool is mainly used for cropping placed images inside a graphic frame. It works much like a crop tool. On the other hand, it controls the placement of content within a graphic frame through the direct selection tool. The shortcut used for this tool is Shift and A. To know the use of this tool, let's place an image inside this document. Now let's go to File menu and select Place Command. And this opens a Place dialog box. From this, let's select the strawberry image and click the Open button. You'll notice the cursor loaded up with a selected image. Now let's click the cursor in the workspace, and the graphic image gets placed in the area where we clicked. Now let's click and hold our mouse pointer over the direct selection tool and select the position tool from the flyout panel when it appears. The position tool is dynamic, so it automatically changes to reflect different states. Now let's see that now. To crop an image through Position tool, let's select the graphic frame of that image by clicking any one of its edges. Here, you'll notice the Position tool getting converted into a Selection tool. Now let's click and move the side nodes. And as we do so, you'll notice the image getting cropped. If you wish to move the image within a frame, then double-click the cursor on the image until it dynamically changes into a hand tool. Now using this tool, let's drag the image within our frame. When we click the hand tool inside the frame, a brown bounding box appears for our placed graphic, which indicates that the graphic may be resized. Let's go ahead and resize the image until it reaches its frame size. Double-clicking the Position tool on a text frame will change the pointer to an I-beam, which indicates a text insertion point. Now, let's start typing. And as we type, you can see the text entering into the text field. Please note that sometimes when you crop an image, instead of cropping, the image gets resized. Now, the reason for that is nothing but you would have selected the image rather than selecting the graphic frame. So, always make sure that you are in frame whenever you crop an image using Position tool. Types of pen tools. One of the most important tools in any graphics program is the pen tool. Now, fortunately, InDesign has a pen tool, which helps in creating or drawing much more sophisticated shapes in our document layout. Now, as I said earlier, pen tool helps create custom vector drawings. Now, the shortcut key for this tool is the letter P. Let's see now how to master the pen tool in InDesign. We can find the pen tool below the direct selection tool in our tool panel. Here we can notice a small black arrow at the bottom right-hand corner of the pen icon, indicating the presence of a few more hidden tools. Clicking and holding the pen icon will reveal us a flyout menu displaying the additional tools. The pen tool is kept selected with an X mark, appearing next to the pen icon, which indicates that we could start a new path. Once we click the tool in our document page, the X mark will no longer appear next to the icon. Again, let's click the tool and create a new Bezier point. Pen tool allows the user to position Bezier points which help in controlling the shapes of a line or curve using Bezier handles, as you see now. These long projections are called Bezier handles. Now let's break the handle by clicking the cursor on the Bezier point from where the handles appear, so that the handle breaks. Now then, let's complete the drawing. Beside this object, let's draw a triangle object. Now please note, in any graphics program, Bezier points and Bezier handles, or otherwise called anchor points and anchor handles. Now let's switch to our direct selection tool by pressing A from the keyboard. Here the triangular object is created using corner points. Objects with corner points don't show up their Bezier handles when we click the Bezier points. Whereas the first object is created using smooth curved points, objects containing smooth curved points will show up their Bezier handles, which are easy to edit. Hence, the path created using Pen tool can either contain smooth curved points or corner points. The tool which is kept hidden behind the Pen tool is the Add Anchor Point tool, which contains a pen with a plus mark. This tool helps you to add additional anchor points to an existing path, and its shortcut key is the equals sign. By clicking this tool on our object path, we can add new anchor points to our object very easily, just like this. Now the next hidden tool is the Delete Anchor Point tool. Now holding the Alt key, let's click the Add Anchor Point icon, and this brings up the Delete Anchor Point tool to display. The tool contains a pen with a minus mark, which helps in deleting an existing anchor point. Its shortcut key is minus. If we wish to delete the newly added Bezier points from the object, then let's click the tool exactly on those points. You can now see the Bezier points deleted from the path without causing any break in the object path. Tip here for you, clicking an icon by holding the Alt key will help in cycling through all the hidden tools. Now the last tool is the Convert Direction Point tool with the shortcut key of Shift and C. This tool will help you change the smooth curve point into a corner point, and vice versa. To convert the object's smooth curve point into a corner point, let's click the cursor on the Bezier points. Now you can see the points getting converted into a corner point. Similarly, if we wish to convert the corner point of the triangle object to a smooth curved point, let's click and drag the anchor point using the Convert Direction Point tool. You can see the point getting modified into a smooth curved point with Bezier handles added to them. If you're familiar with the Pen tool in Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop, you'll find it very easy to master the pen in InDesign. Thus, if you're really good in drawing, make use of this Pen tool, which is simple to use. Through this means, you can create custom vector drawings right here in InDesign. Types of type tools. The type tools in InDesign are very different from those in Quark Express. InDesign holds text in text frames. Before we start typing text, we need to create a text frame using our Type tool. Type tool is used for typing text within an area, editing the typed text, and most importantly, helps creating text frames in our layout. The shortcut key for this tool is the letter T. Now let's select the Type tool from the Tool panel and then click and drag it into our page. When we do so, you can notice a text frame created in our document page. Here in this frame, we can either type or paste text. Now let's paste the text which we have copied earlier. Here the Type tool is used to type horizontal text, and the frames are used to control the flow of characters. When the text reaches the boundary, it automatically wraps to the next line by making the text fit inside our defined area or text frame, as you see now. Text frames in InDesign can also be created by using the graphics frames and objects. Let's create a circular frame in our document by using the Ellipse Frame tool. Now let's hit the T key from the keyboard and click them on our circular frame. You can watch the graphic frame getting converted into a text frame where we can type our text. Likewise, we can even convert object to text frame. To see that, let's create a rectangular object by using the Rectangular tool, and then insert the type cursor on the object. Now let's paste the copied text inside this text frame. And here you notice the object's getting converted into a text frame. Hence, clicking the Type tool inside an empty frame or shape will convert them into a text frame. But there are some people who don't like this feature because it really bugs them. Now, if you're a person among those who don't like this feature, then you can control this in InDesign CS4 by using the Preference option. Now then, let's bring the Preference dialog box by pressing Ctrl and K. Here, let's choose the Type Preference options and deselect the Type Tools Converts Frames to Text Frames checkbox, and then click OK. Once the option is turned off, we'll no longer be able to convert the object and graphic frames into text frames. Now let's create a rectangular frame in our document and then insert our type cursor into that frame. When we do so, you'll not be able to see the image frame getting converted into a text frame. Now this frame is safe and it will behave only like a graphic frame. Beside this, InDesign even helps in editing text pretty efficiently. To see that, let's select this text frame from the document using the Selection tool and zoom that portion to 200% by pressing Ctrl 2. Let's now insert our type cursor into the text frame by double-clicking the Selection tool. And you can see the type cursor getting flashed in the place where we double-click the tool. Here's a tip for you. Double-clicking the Selection tool and Direct Selection tool into a text frame will convert the tools to Type tool. Now here we can select our existing text, delete them, or even add new text into this frame just by typing away. If we wish to select a word from this line, for example, world, then let's double-click the cursor on that word. You can see the word selected. Likewise, when you triple-click the cursor on a line, the whole line gets selected. In case you wish to select an entire paragraph, then we have to click the cursor 4 times. Now you can see the entire paragraph getting selected. Similarly, clicking the cursor 5 times in a text frame will let us select the entire story in that text frame. Now, that will really make us more annoying. Hopefully you can count that high. Please note, rather than clicking your cursor 5 times, you can simply press Ctrl A to select your entire story from a text frame. Now in InDesign, we can even drag and drop text from one place to another. But to do that, we have to change a setting in our Preference dialog box. Let's open the dialog box by pressing Ctrl and K and choose the Type preference from the list. Here in the Drag and Drop Text Editing area, select the Enable in Layout View checkbox and click the OK button. Now using the Type tool, let's select the word Valentine's Day from the story. You'll notice the cursor getting changed to a little T next to the black arrow. This is our drag and drop cursor, through which we can very easily drag the selected word from one place to another in no time. People who like to use this feature can make use of it by changing an option in your type preference. Alright, let's end up this lesson with a note. Generally, Type tool lets you create only rectangular frames. To create text frame with other geometric shapes, such as polygons, ellipses, and stars, make use of the Frame tool.